Greetings everyone, Garnet Schulhauser here, and welcome to my video in the series entitled Earth's Secret Visitors. If you watched any of the episodes in the first series called Beyond the Akashic, you'll know that my work is now being featured in a documentary streaming on Amazon Prime. In this episode, we're going to discuss what really happened in the famous Roswell crash of 1947. So let's begin. After my visit with Tamek, the blue alien, I prodded Albert for more information about ET activities on Earth. So he took me back to the Akashic Records and waved his hand once again over the holographic globe. The blue and white swirls in this globe dissipated, revealing a bucolic landscape sweltering in the hot afternoon sun. It was a semi-arid plain with patches of buffalo grass, prickly pear cactus, and other scrubland flora. Albert said we were viewing the high plains of New Mexico, about 75 miles from Roswell. It was early July of 1947, and Albert revealed I was about to witness firsthand a much talked about historical event. I watched the unchanging scene in the globe for several minutes, not sure what to expect. Then out of the blue, a saucer-like object plummeted from the sky and smashed into the side of a small ravine. It kicked up a cloud of dust as it bounced up and skidded to a halt 100 yards past the initial impact zone. The scene in the globe zoomed in to provide a close-up view of the saucer. It was a metallic disc about 50 feet in diameter and 20 feet thick in the center. The outer edge of the disc was punctuated with a row of round portholes, but I could not see any other markings on its smooth surface. Albert focused the globe on the inside of the craft, which looked much like the cockpit of the space shuttle. There were 3 padded chairs aligned in a row in front of the instrument panel, and strapped into the chairs were 3 small humanoid beings. The little crew members were about 3 feet tall, with arms, hands, and legs similar to humans. Their hairless heads were slightly oblong in shape, with the lower portion descending to a rounded chin. They had large, oblong eyes, delicate little noses, and thin, pursed lips. They wore jumpsuits made of a shiny, metallic material and black boots that looked like synthetic rubber. Albert told me I had just witnessed the crash of a spacecraft piloted by ETs from the planet Gorgon in the Pisces constellation. They were part of an observation vanguard that had been monitoring Earth ever since the first fission bomb had been exploded, which had attracted the attention of this alien civilization. Their mission was to observe the activities of humans and report their findings to their superiors on their home planet. The spacecraft was a scouting vehicle based on a large mothership orbiting the Earth. As I looked more closely at the occupants of this craft, I noticed 2 of them were motionless, while the one in the center was moving its arms and emitting soft moaning sounds. The animated alien touched several buttons in the control panel, and I heard a loud swoosh of air as a doorway opened in the lower surface of the craft. The survivor tried to rise up from its chair, but the effort was too much, and it sank back down into the padded seat, unable to negotiate an exit through the open door. Albert waved his hand at the globe to compress time, and I noticed a small convoy of 2 army jeeps and a truck come to a halt beside the saucer. The officer in charge advanced cautiously toward the craft and entered through the open doorway. He quickly assessed the situation and ordered the troops to carry the aliens on stretchers to the back of the truck. Once loaded, the truck sped off toward the Roswell Army airfield, while the remaining soldiers guarded the crash site. Later that afternoon, the saucer was loaded into a flatbed semi-trailer truck with the help of 2 large portable cranes. It was covered by a canvas tarp and hauled away to an empty hangar at the airfield. Then Albert shifted the scene to a secluded and heavily guarded hangar at the airfield. I could see a team of doctors working on the sole survivor, who now lay motionless on a hospital gurney. After several hours of intense procedures, the doctors realized they had lost the battle, and they covered the little body with a white sheet. I told Albert that I assumed what I just saw was the famous UFO crash in Roswell in 1947, and I wondered what had happened to the little aliens and their spacecraft. Albert confirmed that I had seen the famous Roswell crash of 1947. He said the little scout craft had been on a reconnaissance mission to observe a high-altitude surveillance balloon launched by the U.S. military as part of a top-secret program. As the spacecraft approached the balloon at a high speed, its advanced propulsion system inexplicably failed, causing it to crash into the balloon payload. The collision knocked out an essential component of the craft's guidance system, which caused the spacecraft to crash into the desert below. The military denied the existence of a flying saucer, despite several eyewitness accounts to the contrary. And when they displayed the crash debris to the media, it was indeed the wreckage from the balloon, as they claimed. What they didn't disclose, however, was the existence of the saucer that had crashed a few miles from the site of the balloon wreckage. Albert advised that the spacecraft was transported under heavy security to the Roswell Army airfield, and then to Edwards Air Force Base, and finally to the secretive military base known as Area 51 in Nevada, where it remains hidden to this very day. The saucer was constructed of a super strong metallic alloy that allowed it to survive the crash without any major structural damage. American scientists had extensively analyzed the alloy, but they had not been able to decipher its composition. Likewise, they had not been able to understand the nature of its propulsion or avionic systems. In short, the military engineers have still not been able to figure out how this spacecraft functioned. As for the crew of the scout craft, 2 of them died on impact from injuries to their internal organs. The third one survived for several days, eventually succumbing to its injuries despite the valiant attempts of the medical team at the airfield. Their internal organs were not too dissimilar from those of humans, but the damage had been too extensive and they had not been able to save the little guy. He said all 3 corpses were flown to Edwards Air Force Base, where autopsies were performed. Later, the bodies, still immersed in preservative chemicals, were transported to Area 51, where they remain today. The existence of the spacecraft and its crew has been denied and covered up by the U.S. government ever since the 1947 crash, because they believed the public did not need to know the truth. Albert said the mother ship was aware of the crash, but they were not able to mount a salvage operation for the scout ship or its crew. They were under strict orders from their home planet to ensure they were not observed by humans. Because of this directive, a salvage operation was out of the question in light of the tight military security around the wreck. And they were relieved when they realized their spacecraft would not be put on public display. When I asked Albert if the survivor had said anything before it died, Albert confirmed that it did try to speak to the humans who pulled it from the spacecraft, but its verbal language was unintelligible to the soldiers. The little alien did draw a small sketch on a notepad before it died. It was a dove holding an olive branch in its beak, which is an ancient symbol for peace. This was a fascinating story indeed, but I lamented that it had ended so tragically. Thank you so much for watching. It truly means a lot to me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share it with somebody else who might appreciate it, and subscribe to my channel so you never miss an episode. You can find a link to watch the full documentary of the first series entitled Beyond the Akashic in the comments and description below. Watching it is a wonderful way to thank the great team who put all of this together. And if any of those big questions are stirring in you, like life, death, the cycle of reincarnation, and what it all truly means, you can find that in my books and my work. Just follow the links below and you can get to me and make direct contact with me with any of the questions that you may have in mind. Until the next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next episode.